Hello.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Yeah, happy Thursday. We're gonna have to increase that countdown timer. I like that music too much to only get 10 seconds of it. But yeah.
Right? Yeah, y'all can't see it, but I generally dance to that music. It's not my kind of music, but man, it gets me pumped up.
Yeah. We need to. Yeah, I need to spend a whole time trying to get some better show intro music. But you get into like license copyright issue stuff. So
yeah, that's too bad. I always thought something, Limp Bizkit's "Give Me Something to Break" would be a good intro to something like that.
Then we'll be shut down with a cease and desist order for copyright violation. But yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh boy.
Well, welcome to season 1, episode 12, everybody. So, today we're going to talk about a recap from Cloud Foundry Day. So I think first off, Nick, let's talk about our Inception stream within a stream. How well that went. I don't think it was a fail. I'll call it a soft fail with the mics. Mm-hmm. But we are not audio video engineers.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I have the utmost respect to all audio visual engineers out there. Typically I show up to these events and I'm just like, hey, I'm here, like, however many, minutes beforehand. And, they got all the mics and everything. And you don't really think about it. But then once you want to start to do that yourself and you start like, oh, how does this actually going to work here? What do I need to buy and get configured here? So we definitely had a little bit of growing pains with our audio for sure. Hopefully we should have that resolved. If we get to go in person live stream at some of our CFPs that we submitted here, maybe Explore or potentially even Cloud Foundry Day in Germany coming up later in the year. So
I'm actually looking forward. I hope we're able to make it to Cloud Foundry Germany. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And, for everybody, who experienced the show last week and you saw the issues with the audio, what killed us were those little lapel mics. Who would have thought that something as simple as a little lapel mic would kill us? But that's what absolutely killed us. But I think we learned something from it, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I think we'll be better. And we weren't able to get, the CF push montage that we wanted to get going. And most of that was just because, man, people were they were too busy. They were tuned into all the talks and nobody really wanted to take any time out. People were excited about it. We got a lot of people said, yeah, we want to do that, but finding the time, man, all the talks were interesting. Just didn't get it done.
Yeah. I think that is, that's my biggest, I guess, takeaway is that we need more time on Cloud Foundry days. We need more Cloud Foundry days.
We need more Cloud Foundry days, right? Yeah. And maybe, for Chris and Ram and those guys on Cloud Foundry, maybe not someplace like New York. I don't know. Maybe someplace a little bit, where you can get a hotel room close to the event.
Yeah, our travel to the event and back and forth was quite interesting. But I was actually like my first time to New York City, so it was interesting to see it. The weather wasn't terrible, but that traffic. Oh. I do not. Anybody have to do that on a daily basis? That is a significant traffic commitment, and just
you have to have nerves of steel, not to only drive in that city, but just to be a passenger in that city. Man, yeah, I just kept my eyes down for people that were driving us because dump trucks with that much room between cars, it was frightening.
Yeah, the amount of heavy, large vehicles driving in some of those, I would say smaller, kind of crowded city streets. I was somewhat amazed and somewhat terrified too. I was like, "Oh, this is like only a few inches away from us. Like, let's not hit this thing." But they seem to know how to commute, the locals there, and I'm glad, because if I tried to drive, like rent a car there, I would have probably given up and abandoned the car, and I don't know. But yeah, I couldn't deal with that traffic on my own, so that's for sure.
And I've always lived somewhere where you drove everywhere. They've got the train system, which, we both thought about taking the train, but I was scared to death I would end up in like Atlanta or something if I tried to jump on a train and figure out all the train stations. So
Yeah,
maybe I'm not smart enough for that. One thing that did come out of me, and I wanted to get your opinion or your opinion on this. So one of the things that did come out from people that I talked to at Cloud Foundry Day is, we've got user groups that happen for Java, for Spring, and for all these other things. But we don't really have anything like that for Cloud Foundry, right? We've got Cloud Foundry Day. We used to have the Cloud Foundry Summits, but man, if there are people out there, and this is, kind of to the audience, anybody that watches the show, if you're interested in like a Cloud Foundry meetup or a user group so that we could, try to get some stuff going closer to the users, because everybody knows travel budgets are, they're pretty tight this year. People aren't, able to make some of these conferences, but, if we could get something in big cities, what are your thoughts on that? I think that would be something great and something we should talk to Chris and them about.
Oh yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, I mean, we could definitely, like meetups, or yeah, like a huddle, or I feel like there's something called like the Kube huddle that is more regionalized for those folks in the Kubernetes space. So maybe we can start some kind of more localized thing like that.
Yep. I think that'd be great, right? I think, just to give you a chance to talk, Cloud Foundry, I know there's a lot more stories. Now, we got to hear some really interesting stories from like JPMC and Comcast, but I know there's other customers out there that have interesting stories, and it would be great to try to get, hear about those, try to get some of those guys on the show to talk. There's a lot more going out with Cloud Foundry than just what we saw at Cloud Foundry Day. So maybe that's something we try to take up. So audience, leave us notes in the comments. Is that something you'd be interested in? Where do you think some good locations would be? Maybe me and Nick can show up to one or two of them. We don't know. Travel budgets for us are pretty much limited as well. But, hey, this is something we're passionate about. Let us know what you think. And I agree with you, Tim. I'd love to get to Philly. Think you're still on mute, buddy.
My bad. Yeah. Oh, Cincinnati. I could definitely do that, because yeah. So yeah, if we want to host something, that's for sure. Let us know. But yeah, that would be interesting too. So we have Cincy and Philly.
And I'll throw out Denver. I'm close to Denver, so
yeah. It looks like we already have a schedule. Now we just need
Now we just need to get it
happen,
blessed.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. All right, so let's jump in. How do you want to do this? Do we want to just kind of go through episode or talk by talk episode?
Look at me. Episode, yeah.
Yeah, talk by talk and kind of give thoughts on it, or?
Yes, I would like to do that, if that works for you.
Absolutely.
Yes, so let's see. The first talk, let's see, what was that? Oh, are they in order on the playlist here?
Yeah, so the first talk was the opening comments. We had Chris came on, kind of introduced everybody. I mean, other than just getting to see Chris Clark, nothing special there. I think the first real talk was talking heads, right? So we had James Waters, we had Amelia Behan, Stefan, where we talked about, the technical oversight committee and kind of what they were looking through. It was great to see James Waters on there and kind of give his opinion. And, he's kind of one of we called him the patient zero of Cloud Foundry, right? So
yeah,
it's great to get his opinions.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on the show for sure. But yeah, we talked to him a little bit about his. We didn't get it on tape, but we got some of this. He may have been like one of the first people to see a CF push, or like a very, very early version of a CF push type of thing. But yeah, I think it's great too to see the partnership between the community, right? So we the technical oversight committee. Amelia Downs from VMware Tains was there, but then we have some folks from SAP as well. So yeah, it's just always interesting, at least from my perspective, to talk to some of the people who've been building Cloud Foundry for quite some time, for sure.
Absolutely. I got to meet Behan and Stefan for the first time. Amelia, she's been on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I always love to hear Amelia talk. She brings a perspective into Cloud Foundry, having been for it. What did she say? Like 10 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She brings a perspective into building Cloud Foundry that I don't think, a lot of people get to see. So it's always fun to listen to Amelia talk.
Yes. Yeah. And the CF buy. So I don't know if you saw the show last week, but we did a real life CF buy. But I guess we can talk about that at the end because that was the end.
Yep.
But yeah, let's see. I think the next one was Matthew Coker, I believe.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So he was talking about a decade of contributing to Cloud Foundry, and that his talk was really entertaining as he had stories. Like it was almost like he had multiple short stories from what I remember in his talk, and it was kind of like funny anecdotes about like how Diego was built, or how we did X, Y, and Z, and like just all the different kind of if you're in the Cloud Foundry space, you'll really enjoy, I think, that take on how some of these features and functionality got built throughout the years, type of thing. So,
well, and I think one of the most interesting things from his talk is, we forget that Cloud Foundry is open source, right? There is the ability for customers, and when we get into some of the later talks, customers that came in and they do make improvements to how Cloud Foundry operates. And, any improvements that happen in Cloud Foundry, they usually get soaked in by the commercial side with Tanzu Application Service, which, maybe at the end of this, we'll talk a little bit, Tanzu Application Service getting rebranded a little bit. But, to listen to somebody who actively contributes, it's a wake up call, and it's almost a call to action for other developers out there that love this product. Get involved with it, come in and make contributions, be a part of the project that works for your company.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the beauty of it too, to see some of these other contributors come in too. And I think even early on, or like in the intro, or they announced a few new companies just recently had joined the Cloud Foundry Foundation, as like sponsors too. So I think that's great to see.
Yep.
Folks still joining the foundation and then sponsoring that ecosystem.
Well, and I think that was a big announcement too. James Waters came into the foundation, so he now sits on the foundation as well. And I think that's a huge announcement that happened at Cloud Foundry Day, is to have James Waters sitting there.
Yeah, I think he's going to be great as part of the what do we call it, the governing board. There's every foundation, I guess, sponsor something. We get so many seats on the board, or that type. There's an election. There's there's whole open source I guess process to follow those elections. But yeah, he's not on the board, as well as I'm sure other folks from SAP, and so I don't know all the board members, but it's great to have his see him be there and help influence the community, as he's maybe one of the most OG Cloud Foundry people out there. So
agreed.
It's pretty cool.
And Anbu, you are absolutely correct. They did release all the talks. So when we get to the end of this, we are going to post the link so that you can look at the playlist for everything that happened on Cloud Foundry Day. And, two things, Anbu. So one, am I pronouncing your name right, man? You're a regular commenter on this show, so I want to make sure I'm saying it right. If I'm not, you yell at me in the comments. But we always welcome you come back. But thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, we'll be posting a link to the playlist at the end of the show. All right, so the next one, Forrest Eckhart. So VMware Tanzu, he talks all about what it takes to make and maintain the build packs and the stacks. We've got the new stack, CFS, CF Linux FS3 is out there now. It's going to become standard on the commercial side, in some recent releases, but it is default out there today. But still supporting both FS3 and FS4. Plus, we've got all the build packs coming in. We are looking. Lost my train of thought there. We're looking to bring in cloud native build packs. He talked a little bit about that. Thoughts on his, man? Build packs are kind of what makes the world go around.
Yeah, I think it's great to see how, I guess, popular and how really foundational build packs are and have been for quite some time. And we see that in like the Paketo project too, with the the V3 or the cloud native build packs. And then I think Deshaun kind of like crashed his party a bit too. I think he had a session and then he had a working group update like back to back.
Yep.
I think, and then Deshaun started asking about like ARM support and things like that. So like It's really interesting to see where build packs have been and continue to evolve, and that's still like this really kind of foundational tech, right?
Yep.
this whole experience for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we can't, build packs are what makes things easy. It's what helps. So the improvement of build packs is just an increase only into the, not only in the Cloud Foundry, but, the ecosystem as a whole. So, being able to look and see what goes into making those, what it takes to update them, I think it's important for everybody that uses them, especially if, you're getting into custom build packs. This might be a good talk for you to kind of understand that. And, maybe you want to submit your custom build pack out there.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one, ROM. So ROM coming in with container hardening with Picado and Wolfie.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. This one was a little bit above my head.
So I had looked at, I hadn't really heard about Wolfie, but I guess it's this like distribution that's trying to be like CVE lists or something like that. So that was interesting to see like where you can get a like a build pack with like, I mean, eventually there might be a CVE, but like I think the whole point about like the Wolfie project is trying to do like a very minimal like try to be CVE list type of stack type of thing for the build pack. So it's definitely something to see. And I always enjoy Rom's talks where he always like is like on the edge of like, what can we do with some of this tech? So he gets to go like part of his roles on kind of chief evangelist for the CFF. He gets to go to all these different like OSS type style conferences and really kind of see a lot of different areas, and then maybe try to see where he can kind of plug that back into the Cloud Foundry world as well. So interesting.
Yep, and he's got a way of speaking. So where it was kind of where I wasn't really catching on as I was with you, I hadn't heard of Wolfie. It's something I need to look into, but not understanding where the tech was, what the tech was when he started his talk. But he's got a way, if anybody that hasn't had a chance to listen to Rom, on when him and Chris were on the show, we did post some links out to where they have some of the recorded sessions, but go listen to Rom because he does have a way of making technology easy for people to kind of to grok and bring into their head.
Yeah. And I think in Heidelberg, he had a talk where he's doing something with a Raspberry Pi, and that's always cool too. So him and Deshaun are very, very, they're always doing stuff with Raspberry Pis and things like that. So it's cool to see.
Yep. Always eating the pie, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yep. So the next one, so Benjamin Gandon from GStack, he did a talk on authoring a Bosch release is actually easy and how to go through and author that. So, Benjamin is one of those guys we talked to. He's going to be on the show, hopefully here sooner rather than later, but we're going to get him to come on and kind of do more of a deep dive. To me, this was really interesting to me because Bosch add-ons are how you kind of customize your foundations. You need to put an agent out there. You want to, incorporate some type of product in there. This is how you do it, is through Bosch add-ons. So, this one I think is going to be very important for people to kind of listen to. I think Bosch kind of scares, a few people out there. And it's not that hard once you kind of get into it and really take a look at what it's doing.
Yeah. So if you want to just see how, you look at a Bosch release, that's definitely something to check out. And, his style of presenting was extremely entertaining as well. So that's definitely worth a watch. Just, another great session. It's going to be really this is some really top-notch content here. And I guess too, if you haven't picked up on it, like the delivery of the show was like single track, single room type of thing. So it was just like back to back, and you didn't have to I think it's kind of a nice format where you don't have to worry about missing different sessions where you're like, oh, I have like 3 sessions I want to attend at the same time. And they are all 30 minutes away from each other in all these different buildings. So you don't have to deal with any of that. I guess trying to, navigate the hallways of different buildings and things like that. So just a heads up there if you haven't.
And the technical heavyweights that we had there, right? I mean, we had some real technical heavyweights there, and some of them gave talks, some of them were there to attend. James, while he was on the talking heads, he was just there to kind of listen in and give his commentary on some of them. And that was great to see on a lot of these talks, to hear James kind of give commentary on some of them and break in on them. So while we go through this, one of those things for everybody to remember, if you ever get a chance to attend this, and you're interested in Cloud Foundry, this is the place to go, because you will hear some very interesting things. We're just kind of brushing the topics here, and we're going through these kind of fast, but I hope everybody does follow the link and go out and watch these, especially the ones that are interesting. But man, we would love to see people at Cloud Foundry Day.
Yeah, if you take anything away from the show, is to listen to us and then go watch these sessions, because I think they're all pretty great. Yep. So, all right, what's next here? Was it Long's talk next?
Yeah, Long. So somebody that's been on the show with us, talking about what he had been on the show with us. So
yeah. So I think that's kind of great to see his work too, where he was able to get to show what he's been working on to the wider Cloud Foundry audience too. And there's definitely a lot of interest in what he had been doing, and obviously when we start talking about generative AI and GPUs and things, and I think a lot of the other contributors or folks in that community really kind of were interested in this talk. So
well, I mean, AI is blowing up, right? AI is a wildfire across the tech industry, and there are a couple of things I want to talk about this, but he did go in and kind of talk about what he's doing, and it's great to see him get the recognition for what he's done, because in AI on TAS, it's huge. Now, the title of this is Bosch and GPU, a match made in heaven. But, one of the things I think we should talk about, which I think it kind of got addressed at the conference, but TAS is kind of unique in the fact that we've got a really good use case. You don't have to use GPUs with Gen AI. You can use CPUs, right? This is great for those workloads and use cases where, hey, we're doing an MVP, or we're doing a, proof of concept, or we've got workloads where, responses aren't immediate,
Right.
I think that's something that I wish would have probably been called out a little bit more. I know it was touched on, but any comments you want to give there? This is kind of your baby. So,
so we had talked about it a little bit. I actually asked him a leading question, but a lot of those bits were still really fresh, so I don't know how much he wanted to add. But we do have some extra time. Maybe we can show that off here, because I just came out of the Tanzu Vanguards right before this. So if any of you are watching, I saw at least one of them, Charles, come from there. So we can do a little bit of kind of deep dive on that and talk about that, because that is definitely something to keep in mind too, because not everybody's
let's make sure that we get time for that, because I think there's a lot of customers out there that want to play with AI, but they're they don't want to buy before they try, right? GPUs are an investment, so this gives them a chance to go out and kind of play with the tech and get an idea with what they've got without having to go out and invest. And when they find something that wins, then they bring it in, and then they can go in and do the investment in GPUs once they prove it out. So all right, well, let's just go ahead and go into the next one. So the next one was by Andrew Alexander. So the way to Cloud Foundry with IPv4, IPv6 dual stack, right? So this is something being led by SAP. I think this is awesome. They were talking about both dual ingress, right? So having IPv4 and IPv6, we all know that IPv4 addressing is becoming a problem. And the way that he was talking about being able to bring those in and run them side by side, man, that was an interesting talk.
Oh yeah, I really enjoy whenever we can see, or I get the opportunity to see the SAP folks talk and talk about the challenges they have seen and been experienced. And I guess if you don't know, right? So SAP is a big contributor to the Cloud Foundry community. And I guess what's different about SAP versus like VMware Tanzu, right? So like VMware Tanzu, like Nicky and I both work for Tanzu. We package up Cloud Foundry and resell that, and you could run it yourself. But SAP runs Cloud Foundry within part of their like kind of cloud platform stack, so to speak, and part of their service that they offer to their customers. So they are like some of their deployments are quite large, and so they get to experience or see, and they get to solve some of these relatively large scale issues. And then they're great partners, and they might sniff out some scale issues on a certain topic before we may see it, because they're running that they themselves are running the this massive platform type of thing. And then they can contribute that back to the community, that type of thing.
And they are good partners. I mean, that was something what we got, SAP and VMware work well together. Amelia talked on, how she spent a lot of time with the SAP folks, and that's another great thing about this community is it's not kind of, it's not guarded. We don't keep our secrets to ourselves. We share them. So everything that, VMware does, helps out with SAP. SAP is a powerhouse in getting new features into Cloud Foundry as well from the open source side. And it's great to see, companies come together to make a great product like that.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
And, again, going back, so this talk, everybody, like I said, everybody knows the problems coming with IPv4, IPv6. I love the statement that he said, we got more IP addresses than grains of sand on a beach, right? So how do we kind of fix those together and, make this to where this is a platform that will continue to scale even when IP addressing becomes a problem? And how do we kind of merge those two? And the talk does talk through both, hey, here's what we're doing today. Here's our future roadmap and what we're looking for ingress and egress out of the platform. So definitely go take a look at that one as well.
Yeah, so I want to quickly cover, honestly, the lunch break, but I guess I did make a thread on Twitter of I try to get a picture of every talk and then, get some pictures from the event. So if you're interested to see, as we kind of talk through this, to see some of the, the scenes from the event too, that you can kind of scroll through that thread too to see some things.
Yep, we'll get that put in the comments, after the show as well.
Yep.
All right, next one, Comcast, Sergey.
Geo distributed ingress, a topic close to my heart, right? So like a lot of the I guess customers or Cloud Foundry users, these companies have gotten to, quite large scale. So then we start to run into issues like, how do we, do global ingress across the world for some of these things, that type of thing. So it's really interesting to see the Comcast folks talk and Sergey, and they've solved some pretty interesting challenges and are, exploring other things to help the community as well. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just like it's a treat just to hear and see some of these other issues that we have also experienced, but also kind of being helped I guess tackled or pondered about within the community too.
Yeah, I mean, how do you geo distribute this when you've got multiple foundations running? You've got them in different locales. How can you kind of do that global load balancing across your foundation and improve your customers' times? Now, Sergey, first time I'd met him, right? But one of the things that I saw about Sergey is, one, incredibly brilliant guy. I mean, just talking to him, you get smarter by talking to him. Two, incredibly humble, right? He's doing some great work there, but he was very humble about the work he's doing. It's like, man, what you're doing here, you should be promoting as much as you can, be a little bit egotistical. You earned it, but no, he's very humble guy, but somebody that definitely the intelligence comes out when you talk to him.
Yeah, we'll call out Tim's comment here too. His take on how they integrated NATs and a service broker to get ingress going was very compelling, and I definitely agree. So again, it's just great to see this community get together and kind of share what they've done, so to speak, within their scale.
Yep, agreed. So the next one, the taming of the queue. So this one was, this one came from 520. So Wayne Seguin came in and gave this talk. He wasn't actually supposed to give the talk, but the person that was supposed to, I guess, had some family emergency and wasn't able to come to the conference. But, if you've never heard Wayne talk, Wayne is an interesting fella. I mean, he gave half the talk in Old English. And most of his slides were based on Old English. So,
yes, I remember that now. It was a definitely a new take on delivering a conference talk. So I hadn't ever seen that done before. But it's very interesting for sure.
Yep. And talking to him after, and it is. So this is all about auto scaling and how to get the queue of your applications up and running. It was an interesting talk, made more interesting through, one, Wayne's personality, and two, the fact that he did do it in Old English for half the time. And talking to him after that, he's like, how hard it was for me not to bust out laughing while I'm trying to talk Old English the whole time. So definitely you get a chance to see Wayne talk. It's always a lot of fun. hell, half the time I talk to him, I just end up giggling,
Yeah, there's no way I could have done that without just busting out laughing. So just props to him for keeping it composed and like pulling it through. So
yep.
Yeah, that was I was not expecting that style. Let's just say it was definitely a treat for sure.
Well, definitely a way to keep people interested, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that'll definitely wake you up after lunch type of thing for sure. Like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, it's not what I expected.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% agree. And followed on, so 520 well. So Dr. Gal came on, talked about Vault and Cred Hub, right? How to pair those two together for secrets, keep you more secure. I think this is a good talk for a lot of people. Secrets management is always an issue. And we've got Cred Hub that's built into the system. There's other products out there like Vault, where you can kind of marry these two together and take care of your secrets management. But it doesn't have to just be Vault. There's other products out there, but this gives a good roadmap of how to do that.
Yeah, I think everybody has to deal with secrets management, no matter what technology you're on these days. So it was great to see how we could integrate those two together for sure.
Yep, and I'm interested. Anybody in the audience? I mean, is secrets management a problem that you've had? Is everybody happy with Cred Hub, or do you wish that there was a little bit more to it? I mean, leave us comments and let us know. But the interesting thing that came out of this is Dr. Gal, incredibly bright lady. She's brave enough to jump up in front of people. She's brave enough to go to conferences and speak, but she admitted not brave enough to do a live demo. So when she did her demo, it was slideware, it wasn't live, but something I think we need to get with her and work on her. Maybe we can bring her on the show and try to get her to get into a live demo and just see how it goes for her. We'll be her guinea pigs.
Yeah, I mean, just to I guess her credit, some things are really hard to do live. So but yeah, always. I guess I like to live dangerously, I guess, and I try to live through the live demo or live testing of audio equipment, and sometimes we pay the price for that, but we'll see.
Again, it wasn't a hard fail. We did not fail. We got it out there. We had some echo. It was a soft fail, but I mean, hell, it's our first live show. We'll get better. By the time we get to explore, man, we're going to be professional.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. Next on the agenda, we're looking about health checks. So advanced health checks. Our very own Maria from VMware Tanzu gave a great presentation on that. Trying to see if what was this? Let me see. Was this? I wonder if we had made this into a Tanzu application service release here. Oh yes, the readiness, liveness, and readiness health checks too. So we're taking some of the styles of health checks out of like the Kubernetes landscape, and adding readiness health checks too. I think if I remember correctly, this was released in Tanzu Application Service 5.0, I believe. But yeah, it was great to see kind of that deep dive and how these work, and obviously, health checks for your applications are important, right? You need to not. Look, I think that the biggest thing from the readiness health checks that I remember when we're kind of demoing when we first launched the feature is that your app could be up, right? And everything can be great and wonderful. But if your downstreams are down, or if your database that you depend on is down, just because your front end microservice is going great doesn't necessarily mean your user is going to have a bad experience. And they might be like sitting at a spinning screen or something like that. So taking out certain instances, or like if you lose a backend, if that app's or that backend's not ready, having just more control over those liveness and readiness health checks is I think critical as you start to see scale in that regard.
Well, and this is a feature that the community's been asking for a while, right? So Cloud Foundry TAS is always kind of we've always provided health checks, but they've been limited in nature. And so you got into this position where a lot of companies were kind of writing their own, either their micro, like little mini macro services, right? To go in and kind of do these health checks, right? Is my database up? Is it receiving information? Is my web service up? So they were writing these services to go in and do that. So I think bringing in the advanced health checking into the feature or into the platform prevents that work from customers. It's a feature that a lot of customers been asking for. It's well worth checking out. It does provide a lot of, functionality into what was previously done with health checks, and gives you a lot more flexibility in what you want to do. And Maria did a great job kind of talking through how those work, and what the impetus was behind the bringing the feature into market. So into product, I should say.
And I guess a quick shout out to you on the events page. The slides are posted too. So if you want to like peruse the slides from the speakers, they're out there as well. If you want to kind of deep dive into an individual topic.
Yep.
But then too, another call out. So she was another 10 plus year, I guess, veteran of the Cloud Foundry community. So, we had multiple, it was great to see multiple speakers who've been doing this for, 10 plus years now. So just another call out there.
And it was, man, she brought a lot of personal stuff into the talk, right? She talked about her kids a little bit and how they kind of impacted her work. It was great to see the personal side. Kind of reminds everybody that, tech doesn't always have to be difficult, but it was great to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. All right, we had another. I guess we'll talk about the breaks too. So we use this as the hallway track. So we don't have a official recording of the hallway track, but I think that's also some of the best kind of conversations where we'll have some breaks in between. There'll be there was a grouping of show sessions or talks, whatever, and then we'd have 15-20 minute break where we kind of sync up, and stretch our legs a bit, but then really kind of connect with the community. And some of these folks had been working together for years and never met each other in person. So that's cool too. To some folks are I've seen you on Zoom for however many years, but this is our first time that we actually got to meet each other in real life, type of thing too. So some of that going on as well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the part that most people miss out on is the talks are great, the talks are informative, but getting that chance to kind of make those personal connections. One of those connections, you remember Chris Phillipson? We had him on talking about the CF Tool Suite, CF Butler. Him and Wayne got connected, and they're planning on trying to work together and do some stuff for the community, some improvements into CF Butler and vice versa. This wouldn't have happened without the conference. So that's the other side of conferences that people think, tend to forget about is, yes, there's travel involved. You go to the conferences, you get to see these talks, but we're making you yawn.
No, I'm sorry. It's been a long week.
It has been a long week.
Keep talking. Yeah. Not you.
All right. But getting people together, this is where ideas come from. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what Chris and Wayne come up with and kind of improvements to both CF Butler and some of the things that they talked about. Wouldn't have happened without the conference. So you never know what kind of ideas you might spark just in the hallway track, as you say. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's definitely keep that in mind. Oops. Sorry, hit my mic here. Hopefully that wasn't terrible. So if you're thinking about it, you should totally come to the Cloud Foundry Day in Germany and get some of that. The hallway track in Heidelberg was quite packed as well. So great experience there. Let's see here. You could teach an old Bosch new tricks from Chris from Vera Tanzu. That was I think we also productized this feature too. I don't remember exactly when, but I believe some of the talk was about the enhanced kind of disaster recovery problems.
Some of the BBR and backup. And,
Well, Bosch and Cloud Foundry are pretty good at being failure, I guess failure resistant, or distributed across multiple availability zones and things of that nature. But you might still see wide scale cloud problems, multiple whole region be impacted by something, or a whole service that's a global service for the entire cloud, have issues like auth or something. That's never happened before. But or if you're running on premises, you might have a wide scale network issue that impacts multiple racks or something within a data center, or God forbid you have some type of large scale storage problem. Those are never fun. So I think a lot of Chris's work or talk was about working around trying to make Bosch more resilient and recover faster in terms of like, catastrophic infra failure. So like, being able to recover faster and get back up to speed in a more better way type of thing. So I don't know. You have any thoughts on his talk?
So, I'll have to be honest. Chris can punch me in the face next time he sees me, but I didn't get to see this whole talk. I had to get called out of the room for part of this, but
Oh, okay.
The part that I did was, we're making Bosch even more resilient, right? Bosch is the superhero of all of this. Going back to Tim Leong's, making his Pokemon cards, Bosch is like, power 10,000. It's huge. By the way, Tim did not bring the Pokemon cards. They didn't get there in time for Cloud Foundry Day. So just wanted to call him out as, be more prepared. People were looking forward to the Pokemon cards, and you disappointed a lot of people there, Tim. So hopefully you'll have those for Explore. But Bosch, get back on topic. So Bosch, making it more resilient. I mean, it's the superhero. A lot of people have tried to do what Bosch has done, and they've been unsuccessful or less successful than what Bosch has done. So the fact that we're making them even more now, even more resilient now, just seems it's a little bit, wow, we're just, at what point does it take over the world?
And just for quick clarification, Tim does have the Pokemon cards now, so we will have to get to an event and get those from him. But
they don't do us any good, Tim, when we can't trade them and they're all at your house.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll dox you. We'll put your address out there. People can come to you and you just hand them out from your front door.
We'll have to get a whole like collectible trading card set that we can go for. Yes.
All right, the next one.
Oh, and a quick call out. Chris is another one of those, 10 plus year veterans in this space too. So, I guess I think it deserves recognition as much as we can. The commitment to this space.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about that. 10 plus years. I mean, at what point do they get the gold watch? You don't see people stick around in a space for 10 years in technology, especially nowadays. Technology changes so fast. We had Kubernetes. It was a wildfire. We've got AI. It's a wildfire, right? People jump from technology to technology, but yet Cloud Foundry is just kind of holding steady. And, again, one of those things that we talked about in the hallway track is, not a lot of people hear about Cloud Foundry, which is one of the reasons we do this show, right? Why is that? Because you don't talk about things that just work, right? You only talk, nobody spends time talking about the benefits and the neatness of electricity. It's been there for a while. It's always there. It just works. The only time they talk about it is when it doesn't. And unfortunately, you don't see a lot of where Cloud Foundry doesn't work. So, it's both a benefit and a detriment to the fact that it's such a good product that most people don't know. They're not always talking about it because it never breaks. But at the same time, it's a great product that hardly ever breaks.
Yeah.
The next session, Mark Paquette. So I've worked with Mark quite a bit. I worked with Mark when I was a customer before I came over to TM. This guy, I love talking to him, has a great beard. So,
yes.
Yeah. So, Mark would fit right in on the show, bald, great beard. And I think he wins for most creative slides that day.
Oh, yes. He had some very, very excellent generative AI slide of himself. Like every slide was like a different take of himself, and it was very quite entertaining to see the slides and how each kind of different I guess image of himself. If you go to one of these generative AI things, right, you can like kind of prompt it and it'll start spitting out some kind of funny images type of thing. But he was able to prompt it pretty well and got some pretty consistent results. So great slides.
His talk was all about his path to approver. So he's a Cloud Foundry approver now. I mean, he kind of went, and he admitted, when I go into something, I kind of go all the way to the wall with it. I mean, he didn't want to look at just one project. He wanted to be approver across 3. And he talked about both the difficulties in doing that. But, my famous saying, I'm not a developer. I'll never be a Cloud Foundry approver because I don't understand 3/4 of the code out there. I'm an operations guy. But it was interesting to hear the steps that you got to take, and really his encouragement to other people out there. If this is something you want to do, if you really want to get involved, here's how you do it. Maybe don't do it the way he did it, because he did it the hard way, but there's easier ways to do it. But great talk on how to become an approver for a project as big as Cloud Foundry.
Yeah, I guess it props to him too. I think he's like, he really worked on like some of the I guess, what was it, the open PRs or comments? Like, it's really, he's like, I really wanted to trim down the backlog, and I think I don't remember the numbers, but it was a significant number of backlog items he reduced for like the community as a whole. So that was pretty nice to see as well. So
yeah, I wish I would have remembered the numbers, because it was significant, and I think he kind of said that was his impetus to do this, is he saw this huge backlog of PRs and it's like, I can fix that. So he started this journey to become an approver across 3 different spaces, and then he got it, and he achieved his goal, not only of being an approver, but yeah, I mean, he was responsible for knocking a lot of that backlog down to something that was way more manageable.
Exactly. All right. Our friend Deshaun, who's been, on the show multiple times, was next. So we had the pleasure of seeing Deshaun live. That is 15 factor application talk. You may have remember the 12 factors, right? So he's got a new take on the 12 factors with the 15 factor flavor. What are your thoughts there? And I some of that we missed a little of Deshaun's talk, because it was right before our talk, so we were getting the show's mics, and we were kind of getting all that going on too. But
I mean, it's Deshaun, man. I mean,
yeah, can't go wrong, right?
You cannot go wrong watching Deshaun. One of the comments from the audience, which is what I thought was funny, was he asked, what do you want from 15 factor applications? We want 20 factor applications, right?
Yeah.
At what point do we become a monolith again? But that was an interesting comment. But Deshaun brought, especially at the end, he brought a hell of a lot of energy. He stuck the landing, in his, when he was talking about it, did a live demo. Did it right there, behind the scenes. I will tell you, Deshaun, thought he had like 45 minutes and then found out that he didn't. So he was working on his demo the whole time. Ironically, he still took almost 45 minutes. He ate into our time, which we knew Deshaun was going to do, and I called it, right? So somebody else may drink. But
then we just we were at the end of the show, so we were able to adapt and then kind of expand our time as well, right? Exactly.
And when Deshaun's on his game, you don't really want to jump in and interrupt him, right? You want to let Deshaun do Deshaun things.
Exactly.
And I'll use one of his quotes, right? Yeah, he went over, but that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. You can go over, right?
Yeah.
You can go over when you got important stuff to talk about. And I thought that was a great, almost had a rock star vibe at the end when he, stuck the landing on the live demo. So great thing to see. Always fun to watch Deshaun speak.
Yeah, exactly. And then I guess now we can talk more about our session. But yeah, we
started late. Thanks to Sean.
Yeah, but so again, I would like to thank if some of you are out there right now, we had quite a bit of live viewers stick with us, even with our audio issues. So thank you to that. We will be posting. We didn't post the podcast version last week because we didn't have clean audio, but I did confirm we did get the clean audio from our friends at the Cloud Foundry Foundation. So we have that. It's also on their version is on the Cloud Foundry YouTube channel, so you can watch it there. But we will get this podcast we're doing right now, and last week's posted this week in audio format, and then I will attempt to fix our stream video with their audio, and maybe we can line it up and make it not look like we're out of sync or something. So hopefully I can fix that. If not, just watch the one from the Cloud Foundry Foundation too. But the audio is clean there. So
yeah, maybe we could cross-link that over into our stills channel, not the live channel. I don't know, just and let people know. But we'll put a link into where you can get to the Cloud Foundry recorded version of this in the comments below. But we had Tom Briscoe from JPMC. We had Greg Otto from Comcast. The thing that I loved most about this is, there's also this misconception, especially new people coming in, that, well, maybe Cloud Foundry is not used for the big apps. Well, these two companies blew that out of the water, right? We had Tom talking about, Amazon Prime Day, which is kind of their Super Bowl. And then we had Greg talking about NFL Red Day, that, Cloud Foundry is what runs those applications and those signups. you don't get much bigger than that. When you talk mission critical, those are mission critical times, right? JPMC with Amazon Prime Day, they want to be the credit card of choice for that. So
right, exactly.
Yep.
So I think, but my thought for this session was like, we need to show some of these user stories, right? Because they are just phenomenal stories, and it's like, you get on your phone, you browse some websites, or you use some services. There's probably a good chance that Cloud Foundry is running something that you use on a day-to-day basis, and you just obviously don't know about it because we get back to that electric analogy of like, you only really care about some of this tech if it doesn't work, but if it works, you just take it for granted, type of thing. So it is great to see that. And we also Amelia was able to join us too, so she was another return friend of the podcast, and she was able to give some great commentary as well. And for some reason, her mic actually worked well the whole time. So she has props to using the one of the working mics from our live stream, it was great to get the Cloud Foundry contributors and the Cloud Foundry users together and kind of have that story. And I think one anecdote from Amelia is like, she really likes to get talking to the users and the customers at these events, because the other interaction was she's on a support call where things are escalated and people aren't, she doesn't get to, a lot of the contributors, I think, too, appreciated that they're in the audience. They get to hear the stories of what their work has been and what has, kind of provided for some of these users. So I think it's great to see that kind of full circle, I guess we'll say, path kind of get formed there.
Yeah. And I mean, it was, having two big heavyweights come out like that, again, like you said, showing that they're supporting some of their biggest applications, some of their mission critical applications on the platform here, and talk about the passion for the platform. And we kind of rounded that out. That was one of those things where, again, open community. Amelia asked them, what do you want to see from Cloud Foundry going forward? And they both had some really good answers. These are things that we would like to see, and either, we'll take it up or another contributor will take it up. But always great to get user stories on. I think that's one of the things that we need to kind of do in the podcast a little bit more, is to get some of these user stories on. I know you've got, inroads to customers. I've got some, seeing if we can get people on to talk about what they're doing.
Right.
People don't realize how big some of these foundations are and what's actually running behind the covers on Cloud Foundry.
Yeah. And I think too, this is our first chance to get these, live questions from our first ever in-person audience too. So not, we had a full room of folks too, watching in person. So it was, I think, by far our most watched session. But just seeing have the ability for the community to ask some questions, and it was. I think there's a lot of good conversation back and forth. I think we probably had maybe a solid 10 minutes of questions just going back and forth, and talking about I think that's one of the most useful things in some of these conference type venues, is just having the folks who do the stuff talk to each other in an open format that aren't, it's not like we're a vendor trying to say something. It's the users talking back and forth. At least when I was a user or customer, that's what I always enjoy the most, is being able to talk to my peers and seeing what they were doing, type of thing. So yeah, I think it was great to see that happen on stage and within the crowd, going back and forth too. So very cool there.
And we broke some records that day from the podcast perspective, right? So we broke 100 subscribers by episode 11. So we're averaging 9 to 10 a week. That's great. That was our first one. It was our first live podcast. We got some learning to do on audio, but first live podcast. And I can't remember the total live viewers we had for that show, but we broke a record for live viewers on that show as well.
Yeah, I think at one point, we were a little distracted because we were running around the room and things, but I think I saw around 140 live. So that was thank you. I mean, that's especially it was late in the stream, so people stuck around and didn't immediately bail off the audio. So thanks again, and we'll definitely get clean versions of those posted out for you for sure.
Yeah, man, that speaks volumes to our viewers. We can't thank y'all enough. We know that the audio wasn't great for that show. We got comments during the show, trying to do the show and fix the audio at the same time. But for all of those that stuck with us through Batty Audio, you guys rock. Thank you very much. This show is for you guys, and we appreciate it that you stayed with us, even as we're learning, even as we're getting some things right and wrong.
Yeah, and then I guess shameless plug is that if you'd like, you could like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Check out our LinkedIn channel, our Twitter account. That helps just help drive more awareness for the show and the community.
So
much
we
appreciated.
broke 100. That was our first goal. So now we're going to 200, right?
Yeah.
I say let's do 250, right? And then we'll double that. We'll go to 500. But yeah, hit that button, man. I mean, we appreciate our audience, but you guys are what's going to make us, be able to get more people in, be able to get some of these stories in. The more people that are subscribing, the more people that are watching, the more apt that we are to get some of the big heavyweights coming in as well, because people want to get out there. They want to advertise their products. They want to advertise their stories. And that all happens through user counts. So, all right, closing remarks. Ram.
What now? I'm sorry.
I said closing remarks from Ram.
From Ram. Oh.
Last show. So,
sorry. I was like, yeah.
Wait, no, we're closing? No.
Yeah.
We still got a few minutes, brother.
You got me confused. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes. Ram and kind of Chris closed that out. And I think, it's always, I think this is the time to they thank pretty much everyone, but we need to, thank the, Ram and Chris and everyone from the CFF and the Linux Foundation, like Deb and Jennifer, and there's probably a few other names I'm forgetting that helped really run the show, right? Because these events take time to plan and execute and get going, and thanks to all of them. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this type of thing. So shout out to all of them for all their hard work on the show, and their continued work in the community.
Absolutely agreed. It was a great conference. It was, the CFF really pulled together to bring that in. You talk about the hallway sessions. I'm going to talk about, the after event sessions, right? We got to go out, spend some time with Chris, with the SAP folks, a little bit more unfiltered, a little bit more, open. Great times. Can't wait to do that again. That's why I'm really looking forward to Germany, because being able to meet some of those people in their home area and that end of event talks that we get to have. So
yes, the reception was quite nice. And then the after reception or however you want to say it was all good too. So kind of cruising around New York City. I posted a few pics of my adventures after the reception. But yeah, I think we ended up closing our show with hanging out with Chris and SAP, and I think Ben was there from GStack too, and it was Chris's cousin's bar or something of that, if I remember that correctly. So that was it was a great time, great way to close out the day, so to speak, is to hang with friends and really kind of just relax, so to speak.
And we lined up some guest speakers. Like I said, Ben's going to come on sometime, Julian's going to come on, possibly Wayne in somewhere in June, July. So we got some good people forward up. Now, the one thing I forgot, so the comment of the whole day, and I think it came from Forrest when he was talking about build packs, correct me if I'm wrong, but he made the comment, it doesn't have to be a nerd fight, man. That cracks me up. I love that comment.
Yes. Yeah, that was a very good quote from him. Yeah. And so that we have to be we'll have to integrate that more as well.
Yep.
But yeah,
doesn't have to be a nerd fight. I think I probably snorted out loud when he said that, but that was a good comment. I remember it warranted. I threw that out on LinkedIn as soon as I heard it. So
yeah, I think that'd make a great T-shirt too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nope. But I wonder, maybe that can be, that kind of ties in with Tim's Pokemon thing, right? Well, yeah, he wants a nerd fight, but it doesn't have to be a nerd fight, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, we're at 60 minutes, man. I know we wanted to get into the CPU thing on Gen AI. If you want to throw a couple things out there, we can, but hell, maybe we should probably revisit Gen AI at some point. I know you guys are making huge advancements in that you're getting. Have you GA'd yet, or are you getting ready to GA?
No, we're not. It's not GA yet, but I think within the next, hopefully, grain of salt. Everything I say could be, wrong or whatever. Disclaimer. All the disclaimers. Hopefully, we're gonna get to like we'll call our public beta here soon. But yeah, we're hopeful there. And then once we maybe we can come back next week. We can get a little tour on it. Yeah, we're running on time. I don't want to dig into that right now, but we can we'll definitely sync up and follow up, and we'll keep that thread active for sure.
Well, I'm thinking, as it stands right now, again, this is all fluid. It's subject to change. I think next episode, we're looking at maybe doing some stuff on concourse pipelines and automation.
Mm-hmm.
We are talking, we should, security around AI, right? So that's something that's been broached as would be a great topic. I think that'd be a good idea, and it might be a time to talk about that then. But, one thing to look out for, we're going to try to update the webpage. So cloudfoundryweekly.com, that's where you get the podcast. We're going to try to update that. We're going to try to put a calendar on there soon so that you can see what episodes are coming up for those users that want to know ahead of time. But we'll say again, make sure you hit the notification bell so that you know when we've got something new coming out. But we'll see you here, every Thursday at 1 Eastern time. So any closing remarks from you, Nick?
No, I think it was another great Cloud Foundry Day. Check out the sessions, and the CFPs are still open for the Cloud Foundry Day in Germany. So if you want to submit a talk, you still have time, and maybe you can share your ideas with the community, and then also have a reason to travel to Germany. Heidelberg was quite nice, so I'm excited about hopefully going there again this year.
Yep, absolutely. So Cloud Foundry Day sessions are all out there in a playlist. Don't expect you to remember this. We'll put the playlist link down in the comments or down in the show notes below, along with the Twitter feed that Nick was talking about. So we'll get those out for you. And I just want to say we've got Anbu on. He was the one that created this. We're going to end the show with something that he created. So till next week, CF bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.